Hey, I'm Drake Frideres with TriCal Superior Forage here in Northern Illinois. Out here with Jake Perino today, a TriCal Triticale user, TriCal Flex out in this field. Out here taking a look, checking out his field, seeing how it works with his beef cattle operation today. And Jake, I'll let you kind of introduce yourself a little bit.
I'm Jake Perino, and I own and operate the County Line Cattle Company, and we're located in northwestern Illinois in Deer Grove. And we farm about 2,000 acres, and we feed about 900 head of feeder cattle.
Jake, when did you start using Triticale? What did you use before, and what benefits are you seeing out of trying TriCal Triticale?
So when we were feeding cattle in the past, we had the traditional method of feeding cattle with dry hay as our main roughage source. And the dry hay worked, but I was tired of trying to store the hay and keep it dry with everything. So we realized that with the transition that we wanted to make, we wanted to have a crop that we could ensile. And I wanted a crop that had high yields and high feed value. And when exploring our options, we found out that the Triticale that we have here in front of us is our best option. That is high yielding and still has a high feed value.
In your feed ration, Jake, you mentioned earlier, overall feed intake is up and the cattle gain is a little more rapid. Tell me about that a little bit.
So when we had our traditional ration and it didn't have Triticale in it, we noticed that our dry matter intakes were in the upper 20s, maybe lower 30s, and it would vary depending on the group of cattle. And when we introduced this Triticale to the cattle, we noticed that our feed intakes have actually been anywhere from 30 to 35 pounds of dry matter consistently across every pen of cattle that we have.
Here in Deer Grove, what kind of tonnage are you seeing out of Flex Triticale?
With this Triticale that we're seeing, last year when we harvested it, we averaged about 19 ton to the acre at 50% dry matter. And this year we are expecting to have the same type of results.
When double cropping with the forage, starting this double cropping rotation, what's your practice? What are you putting Triticale after, and what are you following it with the next spring?
So we actually harvested this field here, and we harvested the earlage off of this, and that was taken off in early September. And then we treat this crop a lot like wheat. So if anybody's used to growing wheat, you're going to treat this crop the same as wheat. You're going to seed it like wheat, the same depth as wheat, and you're going to put on urea just like you would with wheat, and you're just going to have higher tonnage of feed that comes off of this. So we put this crop in early October, and we seeded it in very dry conditions. It wasn't ideal for planting, but we had to get this crop in. It was very dry, and we hadn't had rainfall for about 3 weeks. And going through the winter, this crop, it was put through a big test with no snow cover in extreme cold temperatures multiple times throughout the growing season. And we thought that we'd have a lot of winter kill out here. And as you can see, you can't tell that this crop had to struggle at all in its life.
What kind of fertility program are you putting out? How much N, how much sulfur, what kind of manure are you putting out as well out here?
So after we harvest the earlage, we put on about 12 ton to the acre of cattle manure, and that is bed pack manure. And then after that, we work it in, and I would recommend doing 2 tillage passes just to make sure that you can size and incorporate the cornstalk residue and to manage that manure so that it is incorporated in the ground well, just to help the Triticale germinate and have an easy stand to push through so there's nothing obstructing it when it's growing. And then after that, in end of March, we actually came through and put on 50 units of prilled urea, and that's the only fertility that we had to do with this, and you can see how well it's reacting to that.
Absolutely. No, this is looking wonderful. What stage are you looking to cut this Triticale at? A lot of dairy producers might go with a flag leaf, cattle producers, going for maybe a little more tonnage. Where are you at on that spectrum of, looking for protein versus looking for tonnage?
So we want to hit kind of that sweet spot where I can still have high tonnage and still have high feed value and not try to sacrifice either one of those. We're looking to harvest this anywhere in late boot to early heading out stage. I don't want it to go to grain fill. Even if it's in the soft dough stage, we'll still harvest it then. And that time frame for harvest is gonna be the 2nd to 3rd week of May.
Very good. Well, Jake, I appreciate your time here today talking about triticale, talking about your farming operation, how you've incorporated triticale, you know, not just into the rotation, but in your feed ration as well. So I appreciate your time here today, Jake. Take care and
Thank you.
And have a great one.
Thank you.
Thank you.